Hello, everyone. My name is Marion, and I'm a business strategy consultant. Today, I'm excited to introduce the Art Infographic training video called Exploring New Horizons, Overcoming Challenges in Target Market Identification. In it, I cover the first and fundamental question in a program I run called the Marketing Maturity Assessment, or MMA for short. The question of identifying your target market is one that often stumps many small business owners. So I took some time to reflect on why larger corporations seem to have an easier time identifying their target markets and ideal customer segments, while small businesses often struggle with this crucial aspect. So I've developed a unique method to address this challenge, which I'll be outlining in this video. And by understanding this approach, we can unlock the potential to identify and connect with your ideal customers more effectively. So before we begin, I want to quickly cover who I am and why you can trust me as a business strategy consultant. I bring a diverse range of experience across various sectors. I've been a manager at a prestigious hotel. I've successfully fundraised for top nonprofits and have often been headhunted for very key roles. I've also led teams, I've run businesses, and I've even franchised some of my own ventures. I've highlighted some of these milestones here, and please feel free to go and visit my LinkedIn page. I've placed the link at the bottom here, so please feel free to reach out. Okay, so today I run a business that's called Art Infographic. Over the past 10 years, it has evolved to include social media, digital media such as blogs and newsletter funnels, and digital media education. I've done website copy and SEO, and copywriting for big brands. So I've put more information here for you. I have another video where I go into much more detail, and if you'd like to know more about it, I'm going to see if I can put a link to that video in the top of this, so you can click through there, and it gives you much more detail on the work that I've done and my expertise. So there's a bit more information there for you as well. So today I'm going to introduce you to the Marketing Maturity Assessment, which is this program that I run. It's known affectionately as the MMA amongst my clients. And this program is designed to lay the groundwork for effective marketing strategies, ensuring that your business, your small business, can thrive. So it's the first question. It's the program runs on a series of questionnaires. And the first question in the first questionnaire is crucial, and it helps you to identify your target market. And identifying your target market is the foundation for crafting a dynamic marketing plan. So when I say dynamic marketing plan, we'll go into that a little bit further just now. So the MMA, or the Marketing Maturity Assessment Program, is a 3-month intensive. So I teach tried and tested frameworks that large corporate uses, and then apply them to small business. The program consists of daily questionnaires. There's materials, there's resources, and then I think what's the most sorry about that, and the most valuable is the weekly hour-long consultations that I give. One-on-one, personalized, tailored to your business. We do these weekly 1-hour consultations. If it's a bigger business and there's a higher need for personal consultations, I also charge for additional consultations over and above the programs that I run. So you get your materials, you get your resources, you get the consultation, you get a lot of support. If you've got questions, I give you feedback, I've come back with answers, all of that. And I've developed this video really to show you my approach and what you can kind of expect when working with me through consultation sessions. So our first question of the questionnaire is, who are your target customers, your ideal customers? And identifying your target market is essential for any marketing strategy, especially for small business owners. So when you know your ideal customers, you can tailor your marketing efforts to meet their specific needs. Now, I know you've heard this all before, but just hear me out, because I'm going to help you where the stuff on Google and, the gurus and that out there maybe haven't been able to help you. Like, this stuff, that it is essential and it's going to help you with your marketing efforts. And maybe you're struggling and you don't know why. And I'm going to go into that now, and I'll explain it, and I'll show you how to overcome all of that and how to make it work for you, right? So understanding your ideal or your target customers will allow you to focus your resources effectively. And this, for me, is the most important aspect. As a small business, your resources are limited, and as such, you have to get the biggest bang for your buck. You want to get the most effective return for your efforts and time. And my approach that I'm going to teach you here in defining your ideal customers ensures that your marketing doesn't just reach everyone, but that it resonates with the right people. So you may have noticed that today's theme has to do with adventure, exploration, and travel, and I'll explain in detail a little bit later why that is, and it will all make sense when it all comes together. So let's talk about having the foundational knowledge in marketing. So foundational knowledge in marketing is very much like nourishment for the journey. So like comfort food provides warmth and sustenance for explorers, foundational knowledge is essential for small business owners that are embarking on their journey. So having this foundational knowledge that I'm teaching you today is really, really important. It's actually probably the most important thing that's going to keep you going forward and through this long journey. So this knowledge equips you to navigate the complexities of defining your target market, and identifying your target market is the very first step in marketing. Now, I wish I could make this bolder and brighter and underline it more, but it is the first step in marketing. This is not just lip service. It's not just saying that I'm saying it because everybody else on the internet is saying that that is the thing. It is the most important thing that you need to do, because all of your marketing, your messaging, your communications, your business cards, the clothing you wear, your personality, everything is related to identifying this. It's not just because everybody else says this. It really is the first step in having effective marketing. If you want your marketing to work, this needs to be in place. I really can't emphasize it more. But now a lot of businesses really struggle with this. And I needed to sit down and think about it and say, why is it that it's easy for large corporations to be able to identify various customer segments and create their marketing to appeal to those, but when it comes to small businesses, why is it so hard? And I really gave it a lot of thought, and that's why I thought to put this video out there, because I don't think this is actually being addressed. I don't think it's being addressed at all. And what I'm going to show you is going to help you in ways that maybe you haven't been helped before. So, but really, a lot of businesses do struggle with it. So let's discuss some common challenges that I've seen and that you may face when trying to define your target market. Okay, so many small business owners feel really stumped on this. They might think, I want to cater to everyone, And you might even struggle with generalized services that make it hard to pinpoint your ideal customers. And we're going to go into that a bit further a little bit later as well. You can see I'm not just saying this, it's a real problem. So as an example, I've worked with a small fabric, I don't know why I'm tongue twisted today, but I've worked with a small fabric printer and clothing designer who was eager to serve everybody. So she actually printed small batches of fabric and designed clothing from that, had people sew out clothing for her, but she wanted to kind of market it to everybody. And her reasoning was because everyone wears clothes, right? So, I've dealt with people that design websites, for instance, and they want to design websites for everybody who runs a small business. And so to identify their ideal target market, it's really difficult for them because they're like, oh, maybe an 18-year-old would need a website as much as a 65-year-old, a male or a female. Like anybody could possibly need a website. So in this example where I was working with a small fabric printer and clothing designer, she wanted to provide clothing for everybody and found it very difficult to create or define her target market. And then her marketing efforts were really scattered and ineffective because she was not really knowing how to get her message out there to bring customers to her. So she was doing kind of what we call vanilla content. It was very broad messaging, and she wasn't getting customers in because she wasn't attracting people that were passionate about her product, because she couldn't seem to excite them about her product because her messaging was kind of broad and vague and really not appealing to it wasn't triggering those emotions in a small target market that would be excited and wanting to buy her product. And so we looked at that and we landed up narrowing it down to her ideal customer. And that ideal customer is an active, environmentally conscious festival goer. And once we did that, her marketing began to flourish. So that's just some things about like challenges that businesses have. So going back to the list here, we've got diverse customer base. So I've found that with entrepreneurs and small business owners that I work with, they tend to be very creative people. They are open and they're friendly and they're non-judgmental in their thinking. And I'm not sure to what extent this is true in other countries, but in South Africa, we are a melting pot of cultures, particularly in Joburg, where I reside, which is in Sandton, where there are a lot of business people, there's travelers, there's job seekers, there's tourists, there's lots of conferences that happen here. So there's this whole mix of different people. And I've just come from Cape Town, where I've lived for the past 10 years. And there are similar dynamics that bring multiple nationalities from all over Africa. I mean, there's people from all over Africa that come to South Africa. And then we've also got visitors from all over the globe that come and visit South Africa. And then there's a mix of cultures and races and languages, religious backgrounds. I mean, it's such a melting pot of diversity of people. So business owners have a really hard time identifying an ideal target market because their existing clientele, they most likely got them organically, and now they're kind of a motley crew of very different people. So to try and think now, if they're wanting to expand their customer base, they find it very difficult to kind of pinpoint the ideal customer because they've got such a diverse range of existing customers. So that's the diverse customer base section here. So going into the limited resources. So if businesses understand the importance and the need to identify a target market, small businesses tend to have limited resource. I mean, it does take time to put surveys together, or to have a staff member follow up with clients and watch social media and the comments on social media and follow up with them and all of that. But I've found that although time and budget do play a role, and we've got it here as the most important things, I feel that there are two other factors that I think are actually more important. The first limited resource that I think is actually more important is the lack of skill set. So even if a business owner wishes to conduct some form of market research, how do you approach existing customers? Like, what questions do you actually ask them? And how do you get that information or data without being intrusive? How do you find out someone's age, for instance, or their preferences? Like, how can you do that? So what's also, I would say, is even more concerning is that most business owners don't even know what information they actually would like to gather or want to know about their potential customers. So that's the one limited resource that I think is actually more important than time and budget, is that skill set of how do they actually conduct that. Now, I teach that. That's part of my consultation work that I teach. I've got frameworks and everything for that, but it's kind of a step-by-step, almost done for you process, and it will help you. But a lot of small owners don't have that skill set. I've had the practice, I've got the experience, I've had my clients use it in their businesses, and so we've tried it and refined it, and we've got a good process for that. But most business owners don't have that skill set. Now, I said to you, I think that there are two limited resources that are actually more important than time and budget. So the one being the skill set, and the second limited resource is that small businesses tend to cap at about 150 clients. In fact, many of the clients that contact me are way below that number, feeling that they need to grow their customer base, but they are already completely tapped out on the time they can dedicate to their business, or they have a very limited budget. And that's even before they've reached 150 clients. Like, very often it's much smaller than that they've got, regular communications and relations with. Sometimes their businesses have got like 20 clients, 50 clients, But let's assume that the entrepreneur is running a profitable and viable business and has plateaued at about 150 customers, okay? So as mentioned before, this customer base is most likely quite diverse, because that startup sort of customer base, probably came from word of mouth and organically grown through social media, that kind of thing. So it's quite a diverse group of people, and there doesn't seem to be like a common thread amongst existing customers. But if we have to look at it purely from a scientific point of view, a scientific research point of view, a customer base of 150 people is too small of a data set. It's too small to get a full idea of the potential target markets, and especially if you're looking to expand. So that becomes, again, a limited resource, is that existing clients that you can kind of get that feedback from. That data set is much smaller than, for instance, in a large corporation where they're dealing with thousands of customers, it's much easier to segment the customer base. Right. And so the next thing is the fear of exclusion. Okay, so, and I think that this next point is something that I feel is actually one of the most important and one of the most limiting sort of challenges that small businesses face. And that is the fear of exclusion. So, as an example, I work with a few clients in the health and healing sector, for instance. These people are healers. So they're giving people, and they want good health and healing for everyone. They want to bring health into the family unit, as an example. Or they want to provide healing that will heal like generational trauma, for instance. So they're working with family groups or communities or troubled teens, or it's community sort of driven, and they want to heal like units of people. So they want to provide healing, and asking these clients to identify one or two or even three groups of ideal client personas, it actually goes against their ingrained mindset. They feel that by identifying a group, that they are no longer approaching things with a holistic and an integrative approach. These kind of people that, as I say, I work with a few clients that are in the healing and health space. They think very holistically. They think in terms of integrative medicine, integrative healing. You know, even if they're dealing with an individual, there's multiple touch points, as it were, as their mental health, their physical health, their health in their community, their health in their family. It's very holistic, very integrated. And by identifying a group, they feel like they're actually going against their way of doing things, of thinking of holistic and integration. It's just not how they are wired, right? So me as a business strategy consultant, I can tell them until I'm blue in the face that the identification of a target market is for marketing purposes only, that it will help them design their visuals, their messaging, and their conversations, but it will not exclude the rest of their clientele. I can talk about this until I'm blue in the face. Like, I can tell them that what we're really doing is creating one focused activity in their entire customer base. It's not like we're actually excluding everybody else. It's just that we're focusing more on a particular little segment for a short amount of time, and they will not listen to me because it's not how they're wired. It just doesn't work for them, right? So they really get stumped on this. And they really feel that by designing a marketing campaign around one segment will exclude another. They really struggle to think that if, for instance, in Q1, they could be having a marketing campaign that targets yoga teachers, for instance, and that in Q2, they have another marketing campaign that focuses on adrenaline sports injuries. And then in Q3, that they have one that focuses on mental health. Like, they just can't seem to grasp that, just focusing on one thing at a time. They tend to look at the whole buffet rather than eating one meal at a time. It's like they want to integrate everything. And this actually has many sides to it, but what stands out for me is that over the years of speaking to small businesses is they tend to want to provide holistic solutions. And this can be value-based, like I was talking about healing of the family unit, healing of the community, It could also be spiritual, it can be spiritually based. But then it can also be, it can like manifest in services that they provide. So I think part of that is because they themselves were at some point looking for a package solution. And they weren't able to find kind of a package solution of something. So, or else they want to try and please their customers. They want to be seen as exceptional. And even if they don't want to be seen as exceptional, that might not be for ego reasons. They might do it because they want their customers to be so very, very happy with them, because the customer didn't have to hassle with going to multiple providers. Okay. So what you find, particularly with amateur business owners, is that they will market themselves as one-stop shops. But what I can say is from experience, if a business hasn't been going for a decade or longer, anybody who advertises themselves as a one-stop shop can almost be guaranteed to be too thinly spread. And they really struggle month on month in bringing in revenue and staying profitable. They tend to survive kind of longer than some other small businesses by having, and it's the diversity of products that they have that helps them survive a little bit longer, but they don't tend to scale, they don't tend to grow, and it tends to be scraping through month by month. And those are the business that are the one-stop shops, right? So there's a few reasons for this. That it could be a result of being very good at many things. And this I've seen with really startup businesses that have been going for a year to 3 years, is the business owner has learned a lot along the way. And they may have a community of other small business owners that have come along and said, I've got a product that could work quite well with your product. So they find like complementary products. And they might start off with a t-shirt printing business, but somebody comes along and says, oh, okay, but we can print stuff on tote bags. So then they start doing that. And then somebody else comes along and says, okay, but we can do printing on mugs. And then somebody else says, oh, you know what? If we put like chocolates in the mugs, we actually do hampers that go out to schools. And somebody else says, but you know that there's you can put photographs on these tote bags and t-shirts and mugs, and it really complements all of that. So why don't we have an affiliation with a photographic studio? Then the photographic studio says, yeah, but you've got a shop that does all the printing of the t-shirts and all of that. Can I put a few cameras in the shop for sale? So all of a sudden the business is not just doing t-shirt printing, it's doing tote bags, mugs, photography, hampers at schools, cameras. So that's what tends to happen, especially in the beginning of some of these small businesses, where they get a lot of these products, and they learn a lot. So they might learn about sublimation, or they might learn about screen printing, or they might learn a bit about photography. So they don't really want to let go of that. And as business owners, they intrinsically want an ROI on either their money or their time and effort that they've put into learning new skills, and maybe even getting equipment or having those relationships that they've got. They want to get some sort of value back for what they've put in. So they find it very difficult to cut things off and kind of focus on their core flagship products. So that can really happen. Okay. The other thing that can happen is they might feel that it spreads their risk. And especially again in a new business, maybe their core product is not bringing in enough revenue to justify that that is the only product, or that they focus on 2 or 3 products. They've got multiple products, each one's bringing in a little bit of income, and all of that added together makes it seem like a viable product or a viable business. So it's to kind of spread their risks, you know. Also, what happens is there's a framework that I work on, that I teach people, and part of that is that it's to do with positioning of products, and a lot of those new products that they add to their system are what they call rising stars. They haven't really been tested in the market. It doesn't really cost them much time and effort, because very often it might be an affiliated business. Somebody else is the business owner. All they have to do is put the cameras in their shop, as it were. They don't feel like they have to put money out on the table or anything like that. And they just want to test the markets. And those are called rising stars. They don't know if it's going to be a good performer or not a good performer. If it's not, they haven't really lost anything. They can ask the photographer to please remove her cameras because they now need that space for something else. They're kind of saying that it's not going to cost them anything by taking on more products and testing the market with it. And the last reason is that maybe they just can't make up their mind. They can't focus on anything. They just have this shiny object syndrome, where somebody comes along and shows them something and they're like, oh, great, gadget, let's add that to what we already have. Now, I'm not saying that this is a bad business model. It's not necessarily a bad one. I mean, if you look at people who have stalls at markets, for instance, or you see people that have, these shops that are just bursting with a whole lot of trinkets and a whole lot of stuff, like, it works on certain business models. But when it comes to identifying an ideal customer base, it really makes it difficult, because you have got so many products. Like, how do you actually get your message out there to attract an excited and passionate customer base? And that's what this video is about today. So what you'd want to do in a case like that, and definitely I cover that in my consultations, is to identify, and as I mentioned, I've got frameworks for it, identifying and positioning your products, and identifying which ones are going to be your flagship products, the ones that you're going to use to market out into the world, and focus on those. And again, it's a step-by-step process. You can eventually go through the whole buffet, but you go one plate, one meal at a time. And that's what I help you identify, which ones will generate the most interest, the most income, as quickly as possible, and using that to reinvest into the next campaign and into the next campaign from there. All right. So talking again about our printing company that prints t-shirts, and there's all these other products, for instance. Now, a client like that, I don't have a client like that, by the way, but if I had a client like that, I would say to them, let's find one area, one niche that you want to focus on. And let's say we decide that we're going to, I don't know, print t-shirts for runners, people that are running marathons. And on the back of the t-shirt, we're going to put a motivational quote, so that when runners are running and they run up kind of behind you, they see a motivational quote that encourages them to stay in the race and to keep going, and maybe that's what we want to do. And so then, we create something like that, but then we create a campaign that is a short campaign. It can be 2 weeks, it can be 2 months, but it's a very short campaign. Now, what a lot of clients do, and I'm going back to this section here of fear of exclusion, is what also happens at that stage is that a lot of small business owners are afraid to experiment because in their mindset, it's like, if I start marketing to marathon runners, that now becomes an identity of my business. I am now going to be marketing for marathon runners for the rest of eternity, for the entirety of my life. Like, as soon as I decide that I am now going to do a marketing campaign to an ideal customer base, that customer base is now locked in stone, and I am going to have to deal with this customer base for the rest of my life. And I've never dealt with marathon runners, and I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it. And am I making the wrong decision, and I overthink it? And that is not how it works, right? Marketing campaigns should be experiments, short-term experiments, 2 weeks, 2 months max. And, you know, as you can see with my logo is navy blue, bright yellow, all of that. I've done these experimental campaigns. And as long as there's certain elements that tie into your main brand, it doesn't even have to align with your main brand. I've done marketing campaigns that are related to my business, but my colors in that, you know, although I've stayed true to my brand, there is an association. I mean, we don't want to mess that up at all. But, and that I suppose comes with a bit of experience, but I've been able to do campaigns that have got rainbow colors. I've got another campaign that I've done that has very autumn, you know, reds and oranges and all of that, and no blue in the campaign. And, you know, you can do that, and you can run these little promotions, rather calling it promotion, and experiment with a target market. And then you can determine, is that actually the client base that you want to take on kind of full time? And that is why, like, businesses, they hook into things like seasonal promotions, you know, because they're short, they've got a time frame. And if you put that message, that marketing message, so my experiment that I put out, when I do that, I make sure that I also communicate that this is like a time sensitive promotion that I'm putting out, or campaign that I'm putting out, that it's merely an experiment, that it's something that I'm running over this period of the year. And that's why a lot of businesses do it like for Christmas. Christmas is really a 1-month campaign. And you as a business don't even have to do it every year. You don't have to do it every Christmas. And you'd get customers in at that time that you'd probably not deal with for the rest of the following year. If you wanted to incorporate those clients as your ideal customer base that you want as an identity in your business, then you can have like follow-up campaigns and kind of tie them in to your business. But if you're testing the market, that's what it is. You're testing and experimenting. So this fear is, it's nonsensical. It's nonsensical, and it's because people are thinking that they kind of have to make this decision, and that decision is going to change their business forever. And that's not necessarily the case. So why I've got this slide up here is, for instance, if you've got the t-shirt printing business and you do the thing for marathon runners and you really focus on that, even though you've got all these other products that you've got in your business, you know, maybe at one point you're going to be sitting and thinking, but wow, this is something that I can now incorporate in Ironman, you know, events. Or maybe I can do it on cycling events, because, you know, cyclists cycle behind each other, and something that they read that's positive keeps them in the race. That could work for that. maybe that would work at gyms, or you know what, because it's on the back of a shirt, maybe people who do wall climbing and rock climbing, because you see the back of the shirt, that would be really good. And all of a sudden it actually opens up different market segments that you may not have considered, because before you were too focused in trying to be everything for everybody, that you actually, those kind of market segments you weren't even open to, you weren't even aware of. But when you start focusing and start putting your products together like that, you actually, it opens up more and more opportunity and actually more revenue in a better way, and you can actually market much more strategically. Like now, okay, I'm going to have a table with some samples of my shirts at a rock climbing event, as an example. All right, so yeah, basically what I'm saying here is that if you're looking at the landscape and you are seeing grass and flowers and trees, if you do what I'm suggesting, it basically means you turn around and you notice, but wait, I'm on a coastal landscape and I've got the entire ocean actually as part of this landscape as well. So it will broaden your horizons. So the first step in navigation is understanding your ideal customers is crucial for effective marketing strategy. I think I've kind of explained it, and I think you can kind of see why I'm saying that. Once you've identified it, your marketing strategy becomes much more refined, and you can figure it out much easier than just trying to be everything to everybody. And broadening your horizons in the example that I've mentioned to you now. And the whole thing was based on a targeted approach of just focusing on printed t-shirts, just focusing on a niche, which is the marathon runners. And then even within the niche, a time-sensitive thing, such as a particular marathon race, something that will last for 2 weeks to 2 months, a very time-sensitive things, and then experimenting within that. So you can see how it's gone from broad to targeted to even more targeted. So let me just catch my breath here. Okay, so anyways, before you say, okay, Marion, I've heard all of this before, but it doesn't make it easier, right? Just bear with me. I know the stuff I'm kind of teaching you here. If you really had to think about it and you really had to look deeper, you would figure this stuff out. But I'm going to show you an even better way of approaching this, and you must just bear with me with this. Okay, I'm going to show you how I did it for my business and how you can leverage a similar system to rocket your marketing to levels that you never knew before. It is a system I designed. I haven't copied it from anyone. It's my way of thinking and my way of approaching problems and solving the problems. And I formulated this along my personality. So I've got multiple facets of my personality. And instead of trying to fetch customers and kind of sell them on what I have to offer, I've designed this so that people actually gravitate towards me. They're like, she I get her. I want to work with her. And they kind of gravitate towards me. So I'm going to show you how you can do that for yourself, right? Right. So now we get back to like the business side of things. I've cropped out. I've got templates for org charts. So it's an organizational chart. I've got these templates for org charts that I help customers with, my clients with, and so I've just kind of screenshot and cropped one out and put it here. So it's not like the full one because they're kind of long. And this one that I'm showing you here is called a network org chart. Okay. So what happens with the network org chart is that many small businesses start with owners wearing multiple hats. So they'll be juggling various roles and responsibilities and such. Okay. And initially they often focus on tasks that they enjoy. Um, and they struggle through tasks that they find less appealing, but they do know that they're necessary. And this can lead to an org chart that resembles a bit of a spider web, with the owner at the center kind of holding everything together. And if they're unable to work for a week or two, the entire structure can feel like it's just about to collapse. I mean, when they get back to work, it's like they're just overwhelmed with, if they're not running the show, then the show kind of comes to a halt. And they can't take time off their work because that's what happens. And then, sometimes like functions like fulfillment, I found that fulfillment of their product, and to a degree their marketing is quite reasonably managed. But the more complex tasks such as relationship building, their growth strategies, and unfortunately their accounting, those often fall short of the optimal performance. And these systems tend to be a bit ad hoc. So that creates inefficiencies. There's no real system, no real routines, kind of some, but yeah, it's a bit ad hoc. And there's a very big risk of burnout of not only the founder, but sometimes there's a small team of the team members. And they generally generate just enough income, but they can't really justify paying proper salaries. They battle to bring in enough revenue to pay like proper salaries. And if any profit is made, the profit is small. So, once they start getting some team members, as you can see here, they're kind of communicating in amongst each other. Everybody seems to wear multiple hats. It's kind of chaotic. So sorry, I was just trying to think if there's anything else I kind of want to add with this, but yeah, that's basically, how most small businesses start and how they grow. And when they come to me and say, Marion, I need help with the efficiency of my business, and I start plotting out the different roles that different people are doing. This is kind of about the best organized one that I've seen. It kind of looks along this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an ideal org chart. So this is the org chart for my business. Again, I've just screenshot and cropped it out. It's not the entire thing, but it will just give you an idea of an ideal org chart. And so what I've done, this is my org chart. And I can tell you, I don't have all these staff members. If you look here, sort of to the middle, to the right here, if I had to get all the staff members that I wanted, I would have a total of 41 staff members. And because my business has only been going for a year and I've been focusing on R&D, which is research and development, and developing my programs and just working with a handful of clients, I'm literally a one-man show right now, but I'm wanting to expand my business to become a profitable business. You can't really run as a one-man show. It's better to have, you have to have either staff, either in-house or outsourced, kind of helping you to fulfill all of the roles that are needed to run a profitable business. So in this ideal chart, you'll see here at the top, there's founder, and then a little bit further down, there's director, and they are done in green. Okay, so that would be seen as top management. And then if you look a little bit further down, there's this dark sort of pinky color, and that's the roles that middle management would need to do. So for instance, you'll see there's a sales and marketing department. That would be like your sales manager, or top manager would be running that. And then the dark yellow sections are kind of your client relations. So you've got these 3 tiers: the top management, the middle management, and then the client relations. So in my business, I've structured the org chart to have this top management, middle management, and client relations, which are all roles that I fill personally right now. So this setup has allowed me to embody a personality of a strong leader, who collaborates with like big brands and top executives, but also as a business consultant to my clients, but also working with my clients directly. All right, so I just want to actually just go, I've got some notes here. I just want to have a look here quickly at my notes. Thanks for sticking with me all this time, because I really appreciate it. So really what I'm going to do is just carry on talking here. So you've got like the top management where I work with, so here I've got like founder and director. And a lot of the work that I do is working with big brands and with top executives. And for that, I mean, I study corporate finance. I've got skills in legal sides of things, in business restructuring, in basic workplace law and mediation, and negotiation. That's kind of high level, high stakes work that I do with some of my clients is, it's pretty intense. So I've had to identify that part of my personality, and I've created customer avatars that bring that message across. Because when I'm dealing with those kind of clients, I need them to know that I am knowledgeable, and that I'm pretty fearless, because that level of business is very cutthroat. It's very intense. You need to know what you're doing. The competition is rife. You got to know what you're doing. The stakes are high. And I need to show that by my experience, by my expertise, and by my personality, that I can slot into that, working with that customer base, and they can trust me to know what I'm doing. So I've created an avatar, customer avatar, that puts that message across. Now, if I had to put that message across to the small business owners that I work with, I would become very unrelatable, very unrelatable. So what I've done is I've created a completely different avatar for the middle management Marion that I bring. And you are now dealing with that middle management, Marion. So I'm not talking like high level stuff here. I'm talking about the basic training that I offer on my business consultations, with small businesses. So I'm coming in almost like middle management. And I've created a whole different look and feel with that. But I've still tied it in with my brand. And you're going to see that just now. You're going to see that there is a golden thread in my brand so that people can kind of resonate with the different areas of that. So I'll show you what my avatar and that I've created, and then you'll understand it a little bit better when we're out of this Excel spreadsheet and you can actually see the pictures, and it will make so much more sense. So now in my training material that I put out and the blog posts and things that when I'm speaking to my sort of the general public, I use the middle management personality of myself. Because also at the end of the day, I don't want to operate at high level, high stake, top management level all the time. It is very stressful. Like I can cope and I function very well and I actually enjoy it. I'm the kind of person who enjoys putting on a suit. I love my high heels. I like to put on makeup and jewelry. Maybe some of you won't resonate with that, but that's my kind of personality, and I want to bring that across. But then when I'm dealing with my small business owners, a lot of them are very creative. A lot of them work with children. They like to keep their lives kind of simple. A lot of them are parents or mothers that have to go and fetch their kids in the afternoon, and they've got kind of side businesses and things like that. So I need to be relatable to them as well. So when it comes to my client relations, personality that I bring across, I've created a completely different avatar around that. And that way I'm relatable to my customer base like that. So what I've done is, instead of trying to identify my ideal customer base, I've identified which roles in the org chart do I want to fill. Even if I get all the staff and everybody, all the 41 staff members into my business model, I still want to have my thumb on the pulse on specific roles. I've identified these 3 roles. I want to be in top management, speaking to high executives. I want to be in middle management, speaking to general public, and I want to be at client relations, dealing directly with my clients as a business consultant, but in a much more fun and entertaining and friendly way. So to show you, these are the avatars that I've created for top management, and it brings in all the things that I'm passionate about. I like the corporate world. I like the suits. I like the whole office vibe. But I also enjoy the ocean very much. I've been a diver. I'm very passionate about the ocean, and I love the whole pirate thing. And as I said, business is very cutthroat. It can really be hardcore. You need to know what you're doing, or else you're going to smash on the rocks, and there's no pity for that. If you haven't planned well, if you haven't strategized well, you need to know what you're doing in order to success at this sort of level. So I've created these avatars, myself on the left-hand side of the screen, and sort of the guy that deals with our partnerships and joint ventureships and directorships. So that's Joel in the middle there. And then our lady who deals with customer relations, with sales, with with databases, customer databases and emails and that. And that's the lady there on the right. We talk about investment and about funding and proposals and that kind of stuff. So, we've got these kind of images that come through on our blogs and stuff. The guy in the middle, Thomas, Thomas is our marketing guru, and he teaches, he knows something about marketing. And then on the right-hand side is Mark, who is our accountant, who knows the stuff about corporate accounting and stuff. So these are avatars that we've created in our top management communications. In the middle management communications, where we're dealing with our general public and doing stuff like this, where there's educational material that we're putting out, and that we've gone for the whole adventure, explorers, travel kind of atmosphere. And my avatar remains kind of a core avatar. And then you'll also see a male business partner avatar that tends to come through here as well. So it's kind of making me a little bit more relatable than that hardcore top management persona that I need to put across in showing that I do have the knowledge and the expertise. But this kind of makes it a lot more relatable, because small business owners still want to travel. They might want to travel on a budget, but travel seems to be like quite a common thing, and that they tend to be still high performers, so they'll enjoy high performance activities such as skydiving or scuba diving, for instance. But it's also still relatable to the top management that I deal with, because those people, they can now do luxury travel or expensive adrenaline sports, that kind of stuff. Then with dealing with my clients directly, I create like educational material, for instance. So right now I'm actually writing a book on something called the BCG Matrix, which is the Boston Consulting Group. They put together a matrix of this product positioning that I was talking to you about before. And where I was talking about rising stars, some of the other sections of this product positioning is a dog product. So that's a product that's not performing well. Or a cash cow is a product that's bringing in money every single month. So I create these books that we use illustrations and stuff that's just a little bit more interesting, a little bit more creative. It can work with my creative clients, with the mom and pop shops, with people that are kind of starting out, with young entrepreneurs. So you can see the whole look and feel is completely different to the other looks and feels that I've got in my business. And this really appeals to me as an artist and a creative person. So here's a couple more examples that fall into that kind of category. The one on the left is a talk that we give to teens, and this avatar came out of a talk that I did with teens in the Caribbean, and they were interested in mythology, in fantasy writing, in jewelry, in fashion, hair and makeup, that kind of stuff. So I created this avatar to speak to that target audience. But you can see, like with the next one, I really tie in my Art Infographic brand. So there is this association with Art Infographic. And then you can see, even on the fun basis, I try and bring in my colors and my logos and my feel into things there. So I've been talking for quite a long time. I actually wanted to close it off now. But what I can say, so let's just read through these, is you need to embrace the spirit of adventure. And that it's not easy to identify your ideal target market, and you got to kind of see that it's like putting the sails on your boat. So you need to be sure that you're putting the right size sails, the right, to get your boat to go from A to B. It does take time, it takes work, it takes a bit of courage to do it, but you got to do it. And here I've given you some key concepts that we've covered, using your org chart as a map, tailoring your message, defining your target market. And that these strong foundations will set you up. It will help you going forward. And creating customer avatars like what I've done, and starting with yourself and identifying, I wouldn't go more than 3 roles within your business and then creating messages around that and then putting it out, and your ideal customer will then gravitate towards you. And once you're able to do that, you need to create connections, do networking, be in a social atmosphere, connect with other people like yourself, and you'll find that people will gravitate towards you because you are clear on who you are, what it is that you're passionate about, how you enjoy running your life and your business, and how your personality just comes through on all levels of your business. And you're just going to find that networking is going to be so enjoyable. Like, people are just going to come in and want to work with you, and because they understand you. They understand what it is that you're actually doing, and you can build your connections. And the nice thing is you can get collaborative ideas because people know where they fit in. They know how they can work with you and what drives you, what makes you very passionate. Just through this talk, I think you understand me as a person much better, and you're like, maybe you're somebody who sits and plays video games all day, and maybe my adventurous lifestyle doesn't really resonate with you. Maybe you're not somebody who really wants to travel, and that doesn't resonate with you. But maybe you are an adventurous spirit, and you're like, hey, she's one of my kind, like, I want to do business with her. Or maybe you also a mom with young children, and you're like, oh, she knows how to work with moms with young children that are trying to get their business set up. So you kind of know a little bit more about me because I've been pretty clear of who I am and what it is that I want to embrace in my business. So these are ways that you can do it, and how you can conduct market research to identify your ideal customer. And at the end of the day, of course, there's the sweet rewards of your efforts. And it does pay off dividends. I'm a huge pastry fan, hey? So if ever we meet, yeah, I love pastry. I love pastry and cake. So I try and slot that in wherever I can. But it doesn't end there. You have to cultivate it, you have to nurture. Once you've created that avatar, once you've created that customer thing, where most people fall short is the follow-up, the nurturing, the relationship building. That is the most actually important part. Once you've identified your target market and you start messaging them, then that follow-up is, I would say, actually even more important. So continuous care and using the insights that you have, and always adapting and evolving and staying curious. So thank you again for your time, and best wishes for your journey. If you need to get hold of me, there's a link of my website in the description below. Please go and watch that other video. It tells you a little bit more of my experience. It also tells you about my personal finance program that anybody that works with me has to do. It's required of them to do a personal finance program with me. But if you do want to work with me, my prices are very affordable, and we promise deliverability, consistency, and 10% ROI. So you will get your money back, plus at least a minimum of 10% on whatever money you've invested with us. But as I said, our programs are affordable. The idea is to help small businesses, people that have a bigger vision but are struggling to get the right things, the right strategies and frameworks in place. I've got programs, it's well structured, step by step, it teaches you, and my clients see results. They do grow in working with me. But yeah, if you want to know a bit more about me, you can go into that other video. It tells you a little bit more of my experience, and it also tells you a bit more about the personal finance program. It's a video that I give to all new clients. They have to watch it. It's a 45-minute video. Otherwise, you can go onto my website. You'll see my email address. You can pop me an email if you've got any questions. All my prices and packages and everything are there.